Oh man.
I've swum here every summer in my adult life.
Quick question. How many times have you said, "You're killing me, Smalls," in your adult life? Yeah, that's what we thought, because here's the thing. That line was improvised. The terrifying Beast, a puppet operated by two people, and the director got sued by his own childhood friend for putting him in the movie. Welcome to 15 Weird Facts about the Sandlot. It's 1993. A little baseball movie opens against Jurassic Park, making decent money and quietly disappearing from theaters. No big deal. Then VHS happened, cable happened, and suddenly every kid in America was quoting this thing like it was handed down from the baseball gods themselves. The Sandlot wasn't just a movie, it was a summer. The summer. The one where you learned what a s'more was, developed your first crush on a lifeguard, and became genuinely terrified of a dog you'd never even seen. But behind that sun-soaked nostalgia was a lot of weird. Today, we're counting down 15 weird facts you didn't know about the Sandlot, and trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for number one. Now, before we start, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't end up like the ball that went over the fence. Oh, and drop a comment. Who was your favorite Sandlot kid? Now, let's get into it with number 15. Unsupervised 90s kids and Hollywood equal exactly what you think. Now, here's what happens when you put a bunch of 12-year-olds on a film set with minimal supervision. Exactly what you'd expect. When the cast wasn't filming, they were getting into the kind of trouble their Sandlot characters would have been proud of. According to cast interviews later, Tom Guiry's older brother snuck the boys into a theater to see Basic Instinct. You know, that Sharon Stone movie your parents definitely didn't want you watching. Victor DiMattia, who played Timmy, later called it a, quote, big moment for a 12-year-old. Yeah, we bet it was. But wait, there's more. Chauncey Leopardi allegedly made a very specific demand in exchange for good behavior on set. According to director of photography Anthony Richmond, Leopardi asked for a copy of Playboy. Richmond says he delivered during lunch break, and after that, everything was fine.
I said shut up! Got a lot of things on my mind.
Leopardi doesn't fully remember if it happened, but he admits it probably did. The 90s were a different planet, and somehow no one got fired. So, while Evans was busy capturing childhood innocence on camera, the actual children were doing what unsupervised 90s kids did best, finding ways to see things they weren't supposed to. No safety meeting, no concern, just pure vibes. Number 14, it bombed and then became immortal. Now, let's be real. The Sandlot was a box office dud. It made $33 million, which sounds almost respectable until you remember this was the summer of 1993.
This pop isn't working, Benny. I'm baking like a toasted cheese here. It's so hot here!
When Jurassic Park was eating the competition alive and making more in a single weekend than The Sandlot made total. The studio looked at those numbers and basically shrugged. No sequel announcements, no action figures, no "You're Killing Me Smalls" merch at the mall. Just a quiet little baseball movie that got steamrolled by dinosaurs and vanished from theaters. But then it hit living rooms and the legend started building in slow motion. Suddenly, every kid in America was discovering The Sandlot on Blockbuster shelves. Saturday afternoon marathons, that worn-out tape your family rented so many times the clerk just stopped charging late fees. Kids rewound Ham's insults until the tracking got fuzzy, memorized every word of the pool scene, and debated whether Benny could actually outrun that dog. This wasn't marketing. This was pure "you have to watch this" word of mouth spreading through neighborhoods. One kid told another, and then they told another, and then they told another, and then cable played it 17 times a month.
Boss, listen. Go to that fence real slow and be quiet.
But
No. Just go and peek through that hole.
But
Suddenly, everyone had seen it, quoted it, and lived it. The studio thought they had a forgettable flop, but what they had was a slow burn phenomenon waiting for a VHS player. The Sandlot didn't win at the box office because it won in basements and sleepovers across America. Jurassic Park got the summer, but these kids got the next 30 years. Number 13, "You're Killing Me, Smalls" was totally improvised. One of the most quoted lines in movie history, the one that launched 1,000 t-shirts and became every Gen Xer's go-to expression of exasperated affection, wasn't even in the script, at least not the way we know it. The original line was, "Smalls, you're killing me." Fine, functional, but forgettable.
You're killing me, Smalls.
But Patrick Renna flipped it. When Ham lost his mind over Smalls asking about s'mores, Renna was genuinely reacting to Tom Guiry's clueless "some more what?" The confusion kept building until Renna just snapped, "You're killing me, Smalls!" It was sharp, loud, and pure Ham Porter energy. Director David Mickey Evans heard it and knew that was the take. On a set where kids were encouraged to riff and let their real personalities show, that spontaneous flip was gold. And somehow, that one improvised line became the movie's entire legacy. Decades later, we're still saying it. I said it this week. At work when someone asks a dumb question. At home when your kid doesn't get something obvious.
Hey, you want a s'more? S'more what? No, you want a s'more. I haven't had anything yet, so how can I have some more of nothing?
Anytime you need good-natured frustration with a hit of nostalgia, that quote's there. Because it's not a movie quote anymore, it's shorthand for an entire vibe. All because a 12-year-old flipped a line about graham crackers and chocolate. Not a bad legacy for improvisation. Number 12, Squints' glasses were torture in disguise. Chauncey Leopardi's thick-rimmed glasses as Squints Palladorius were totally fake, non-prescription lenses worn purely for the look.
Okay, quiet, you guys.
Sounds like no big deal until you remember they filmed in Utah, in the summer, when the heat was relentless and there was no escape. Leopardi later admitted those glasses were the toughest part of the entire job. Not the acting and not memorizing lines, not even the pool scene where he had to fake drowning and kiss Wendy Peppercorn in front of a crowd. Just wearing hot, heavy fake glasses while the Utah sun tried to melt everyone into the dirt. The frames got sweaty, they slid down his nose, they fogged up between takes, and because they were essential to Squints' whole nerdy kid with big dreams vibe, he couldn't just take them off and give his face a break.
Mr. Myrtle's the meanest old man that ever lived. He's the one who made the beast eat that kid. It's not an option, Smalls.
So every time you see Squints adjusting his glasses, or squinting ironically in the bright sun, or just slightly looking miserable, that's not character work, that's a kid genuinely suffering for his art in the least glamorous way possible. The pool scene made Squints a legend, but those glasses made him earn it. No acting required. Number 11, making Smalls look terrible was harder than it looked. Now, here's the thing about playing the most uncoordinated kid in baseball movie history. You have to make incompetence look real. Not cartoon bad and not trying to be funny bad, just authentically, painfully awkward, which is a very specific talent, and Tom Guiry deserves a trophy for it. He held the glove like it might be booby-trapped, ran the bases like his legs just learned what running was, and every throw looked like a betrayal by his own arm. Every catch surprised him more than anyone watching. That panicked, wide-eyed, "oh god, everyone's watching me" fail energy, it had to feel natural, not performed, and honestly it worked. When Smalls finally connects and earns his spot with the gang, it hits different.
Guys, this is Scott Smalls.
Hi.
Yeah, well, he's gonna play with us, because he makes 9, so now we got a whole team.
We're not just watching a kid hit a baseball, we're watching every kid who ever showed up to something new, felt completely out of place, and was absolutely certain they'd screw it up. That's us, and that's why it lands. Guiry had to fully commit to looking like he'd never seen a baseball before, and make us believe it completely.
I can't throw it, you know.
No. I can't. I don't know how.
That's the kind of bad performance that requires genuinely good acting. 30 years later, he's still the gold standard for on-screen incompetence. That's a compliment, we think. Number 10, the 90s comedy legend hiding in plain sight. Alright everybody, it's time for a Remember When pop quiz. Who plays Smalls' stepdad Bill? You know, the guy who owns the Babe Ruth ball and can't understand why his stepson throws like that and represents every well-meaning but clueless parent trying to bond over sports. Alright, you have your answers locked in? Good. It's Denis Leary. Yeah, that Denis Leary. The guy who spent the early 90s chain-smoking his way through MTV specials, ranting with the kind of aggressive sarcasm that made him a Gen X comedy hero.
I not only smoke now, I make noise when I do it. I go...
The same Denis Leary who'd later star in Rescue Me. But in 1993, Leary was mostly known for stand-up. He took the role uncredited, a quick paycheck, a small part, no big deal. Just a few scenes as the awkward stepdad trying way too hard to connect. Here's the beautiful irony though. Bill is the exact opposite of Leary's stage persona. No rage, no rants, just a quiet, earnest guy who genuinely wants his stepson to like him and has zero idea how to make it happen.
All right, Scotty, go down that end of the yard.
Okay.
Now, the key to this game is keeping your eye on the ball, no matter whether you're in the field or at bat, eye on the ball, okay?
All right, yeah, I think so.
Most people watching in 1993 had no clue they were seeing a future TV star fumble a baseball with a stepkid. Today, it still flies under the radar, uncredited, unnoticed, and kind of perfect in its anonymity. Sometimes the best cameos are the ones nobody catches. Even from a guy who built a career on making sure you noticed him, irony's kind of funny like that. Number 9, the director got sued by his own childhood friend. David Mickey Evans based The Sandlot on his actual childhood, and one of his real-life friends was not happy about it. In 1994, Michael Polidoros, a childhood classmate of Evans, sued 20th Century Fox for defamation. His claim was that the character Michael Squints Palidorios was based on him, and he found the portrayal shameful and humiliating. The case went all the way to the California Court of Appeal. Fox won. The Supreme Court of California briefly agreed to review it, then reversed course and let the ruling stand.
Listen to me, Smalls. It's the matter of life and death.
So yes, Evans' memories were so specific that an actual person recognized himself on screen and took it to court. That's how real this movie was. Evans didn't just imagine what childhood felt like, he recreated it so accurately that someone tried to sue him for it. That's either a compliment or a warning, possibly both. Number 8, the carnival scene was carefully orchestrated misery. The carnival vomit scene didn't just happen, it was engineered suffering from start to finish. First came the fake chewing tobacco.
Chewing tobacco? Tobacco, man. What do you do with it?
The props department handed the kids a mixture of black licorice and bacon bits. If you've ever accidentally eaten black licorice thinking it was normal candy, you know what kind of betrayal that is. Now imagine being 12 and holding it in your mouth while pretending to enjoy it. Those grimaces, that gagging, it was all real. Some of them actually threw up just from the chew before they even got on the ride. So by the time they climbed onto the tilt-a-whirl, they were already primed for disaster. Their stomachs were churning, the nausea was building, and genuine regret was setting in. Then came the ride. 15 times, spinning endlessly while cameras captured every angle. And somewhere in that chaos, the special effects team launched their masterpiece. Warm, chunky, fake vomit made from oatmeal, split pea soup, baked beans, and movie gel. It looked and reportedly smelled disturbingly real. When you watch those kids looking absolutely miserable with the green faces, involuntary gags, and pure survival mode, that's not acting anymore. That's licorice bacon regret meets physics and warm split pea soup in an enclosed spinning space. One actor later said he nearly gagged just from the smell alone. Again, these were children. Sometimes movie magic smells like split pea soup and tastes like regret. Now, if you can still smell the split pea soup through the screen, you're one of us. One of us. One of us. So, hit subscribe and drop a like. We've got plenty more 90s deep dives coming your way. Now, let's get back to The Sandlot with number 7. They built The Sandlot from scratch, and it still exists. The Sandlot wasn't a real field. The crew didn't just stumble onto some perfect neighborhood diamond. They built the entire thing from scratch on an empty lot in Glendale, Utah. Everything from the backstop, the infield, the bases, the dugouts, even the treehouse. They took a dusty patch of nothing and turned it into the kind of forgotten field where summer legends are made. Then, filming wrapped and they tore it all down. Gone like it never existed. But here's the twist. That empty lot is still there. The same spot near Glen Rose Drive in Salt Lake City with no signs, no plaques, no movie magic happened here markers. Just a quiet patch of land that technically belongs to somebody and definitely says no trespassing. Yeah, that stopped exactly no one.
We are waiting! Yeah, come on,
The locations become a pilgrimage spot for die-hard fans. On major anniversaries like the 20th, 25th, and 30th, cast members and fans have gathered for screenings. People show up with gloves and baseballs, standing where Smalls first picked up a bat or where Benny made his legendary run. They spent weeks building a field designed to look timeless, then erased it the moment cameras stopped rolling. Now, decades later, fans trek to an empty lot just to stand where the magic happened. The Sandlot was never about the field, it was about everything that happened on it. Also, trespassing. Mostly trespassing now. Number 6, the props became legit artifacts. On most movie sets, props get used, abused, and tossed in a warehouse to gather dust. But the Sandlot's props? They became actual pieces of cinema history. The production team made sure everything was period accurate. 1960s Louisville Slugger bats, vintage gloves, the works. They wanted the equipment to feel like it had been used in countless neighborhood games over endless summers. And after filming wrapped, those props didn't disappear. Some reportedly ended up at the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory, where fans can see the actual bats from the movie. The crew preserved gloves, balls, and memorabilia, treating them as legacy pieces rather than disposable set dressing. Here's why that matters. When Smalls finally connects with that Babe Ruth ball, the bat isn't just a piece of wood anymore, it's the moment an outsider becomes a legend.
Oh man.
It's the quiet heartbeat of the movie's turning point. Today, those props are tangible connections to something intangible. The feeling of being 10 years old with an entire summer stretching ahead, full of possibility. They're not movie equipment. They're artifacts from a perfect summer that never existed. But somehow, it feels more real than any summer we actually lived. Which says a lot about our actual summers, honestly. Number 5, they cut a major storyline and the movie's better for it. The Sandlot almost had a whole other story woven through it. Director David Mickey Evans confirmed that a major storyline was filmed, then cut entirely. What was it? Nobody knows. Evans has never detailed what those scenes contained or which characters they focused on, but whatever it was, test audiences said nope, and honestly, they were right. The Sandlot works because it stays laser focused on one thing, the boys and their summer. That's it.
This pop isn't working, Benny. I'm baking like a toasted cheese here. It's so hot here.
Every time a movie tries to juggle too many storylines and subplots, side arcs, unnecessary detours, the magic gets diluted. That ruthless edit is why the movie feels so pure. No distractions, no filler. Just kids, summer, and that infinite feeling that this moment might last forever. Whatever ended up on the cutting room floor, leaving it there was the right call. Everything else got left outside the fence, right where it belongs. Number 4, Babe Ruth's ghost became the Tooth Fairy. Remember that dream sequence where Babe Ruth's ghost rises from the baseball, all mystical and intimidating, telling Smalls the ball was meant to be hit?
I had a dream that night about a giant baseball signed by Babe Ruth falling out of the sky and hammering me into the ground like a railroad spike.
That wasn't some random actor in pinstripes. That was Art LaFleur. Name not ringing a bell? Maybe his face will. A few years after The Sandlot, LaFleur became the Tooth Fairy in the Santa Claus 2 and 3, the giant tough guy fairy in a tutu who somehow made the concept work. He also played Chick Gandil in Field of Dreams, cementing his status as Hollywood's go-to guy for baseball ghosts. But in 1993, LaFleur brought pure gravitas to the great Bambino. He didn't just play Babe Ruth, he played the legend of Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth! The Great Bambino!
It's maybe 2 minutes of screen time, but it's the moment that shifts everything. Before the dream, the ball is just a disaster. After, it's destiny. Years later, he'd be coaching kids as a fairy, but first, he was coaching them as a baseball legend. Number 3, Benny's brother played Adult Benny and was a real cop. That opening scene where Adult Benny steals home as a pro ball player, that's not some random actor, that's Mike Vitar's actual older brother, Pablo. The filmmakers cast Pablo to play the grown-up version of Benny the Jet Rodriguez. Real brothers playing the same character at different ages. You can't buy that kind of authenticity. However, here's the thing. Pablo wasn't an actor. After the movie, he joined the LA Police Department in 1996. He served until his death from colon cancer in 2008. He was 41. Meanwhile, Mike left acting and became a firefighter for the LAFD, where he still works today. So when you watch that triumphant slide at the beginning of the movie, you're watching two brothers share one character. One who became a firefighter and one who became a cop. That's not just casting, that's family. And it's also the most wholesome thing you'll ever hear in this video, so enjoy it. Number 2, they knew exactly who they needed for Mr. Myrtle. When you need someone to deliver the soul of your entire movie in one scene, there's a short list, and on that short list is exactly one name, James Earl Jones. The role wasn't written with anyone specific in mind, just a wise, slightly intimidating neighbor who holds the emotional key to the film.
That's really nice of you, but that ball really is signed by Babe Ruth.
So is this one, with the rest of the 1927 Yankees.
Man, Murderer's Row, Lou Gehrig,
Babe Ruth.
But once the script was finished, someone on the production team had a moment of genius. What if we just got James Earl Jones? And somehow they actually did. Jones read the script and signed on. No audition, no competition. Just an offer to the one person whose presence could give the film the weight it needed. He was on set for maybe a day or two, but the second he appears on screen, the whole movie shifts. Jones didn't just play Mr. Myrtle, he gave the Sandlot its heartbeat in less than a week. Because when you're James Earl Jones, you don't need more time. You just show up, be legendary, and leave. Number 1, the Beast was multiple dogs and a puppet. For 30 years, one question has haunted Sandlot fans. What exactly was the Beast?
What was that thing?
The Beast.
What is that?
The answer is somehow weirder than the legend. The Beast wasn't one dog. It was multiple English Mastiffs, including one named Gunner, plus a giant animatronic puppet built specifically for the destruction scenes. That fence demolition? Puppet. That moment he burst through the boards. That's also a puppet. The real dogs couldn't be bothered to do that. And that was the problem. Mastiffs are basically 200-pound couch cushions with legs. They're calm, gentle, and aggressively uninterested in being scary. Getting these sweet, dopey giants to bark and lunge on command was like directing a golden retriever to play Jaws. The trainers earned every penny and then some. So the filmmakers got creative. Low camera angles made the dogs look enormous, close-ups of drooling jowls sold the danger, shadows and fences kept everything mysterious, and that shot of the Beast's paw clutching the Babe Ruth ball, that was a prop paw. Because even a real Mastiff foot wasn't dramatic enough. But here's the genius, the real magic trick. You spend an hour terrified of this thing. Kids hid behind couch cushions, grown adults felt their pulses spike, and then the reveal hits. He's just a big, sweet, lonely dog who wanted to play catch the whole time, stuck in a junkyard, wondering why kids kept screaming instead of throwing the ball back. The monster was never a monster, just misunderstood.
Get me out of here. Pull him up.
Probably begging for treats between takes. Multiple lazy Mastiffs, some puppet work, and a whole lot of camera tricks. That's all it took to create one of the most terrifying movie creatures of the 1990s and traumatize an entire generation. The Beast wasn't real, but the nightmares, they were very, very real. So, what's your favorite Sandlot moment? Drop it down in the comments below and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Oh, and stick around, because Remember When has plenty more trips down memory lane waiting for you. Until next time, play ball! And this is Remember When.